It is a new day and time to move on. So the next thing I want to do, I got the battery installed, so I want to run the main cables. I desperately want to hear this engine run, so we got to do some wiring. I'm going to run a ground from negative to the back of the head, because that is going to be nice and short and keep things out of the way of the headers. Then the positive will come around, maybe follow the frame down there, and then connect to the starter, which is in that general vicinity. So, and then I need to do a engine to chassis ground, and I haven't necessarily figured out the best spot for that. I may look up to see where the chassis ground is on when it was factory. Then I got to go through each one of these plugs and mark what I don't have connected. For example, I believe this is the oil pressure and this is the connector, but if you look at that is a different connector type. So I think the easiest thing to do is to replace that sender with one that is going to fit the harness. I believe this is a painless wiring harness. It was purchased from, Arizona Speed Shop, Phoenix Speed Shop. I'll put a note in there. I love the harness. Harness is great, but I need to get everything identified and connected. Then I work on the ignition. So I'll run a line from the battery, a fusible link from here, from the battery to the ignition, and then have a wire that comes back that goes to the starter. And I believe that's how I need to have that set up. So let's get at it. Here is what I got. So this is grounded on the chassis. That goes up to the bottom side of the head, and then there's another bolt on the top side of the head that traces back to the battery. So negative battery. I don't know if I can get a better light here. There. So top wire connects to the head, bottom wire connects to the chassis. I did use a voltometer to make sure that I had 0 ohms. So I believe a good connection is going on there. So I'm calling the ground good. And next I need to run a positive wire to the starter, the big fat wire to the starter. Here's a top side view. So the battery terminal is just kind of barely on, but keeps everything away from the headers and is making good ground on the engine and to the chassis. So next I will run a power positive wire and probably run it down here, maybe under, maybe between, if it looks like it has a good bend, between my bracket. Kind of hide it a little bit and run it, mount it to here maybe, and then go in for the starter. But I will tackle that next. All right, here's what I got for the power on the battery terminal, and trying to keep it away from the motor mount, but right along the frame. It's gonna go underneath my battery bracket and then come up there. So I think that'll work. Might just have to fasten it down a little bit, but yeah, so I think I have, the only thing I'm missing in order to turn over the engine is the ignition. So I need to work on that now. And maybe take the ignition switch out of the dash and figure out which wire is which, and kind of get that set up. I don't have the alternator line hooked up. I acknowledge that. But I just want to see how we're doing in regards to just getting it to fire. The phase one of this is just to get it to fire. So next step after that, after ignition wires, to go through all of these connections. I think they didn't connect them because they're either the wrong connection or got some fan wires. Fan's not hooked up yet. But some of these wires, knock sensor. I mean, I gotta figure out what all is not connected, where it goes on the block, and like I know the oil pressure light requires a different sender. So I want to get those parts ordered now so that we're not just sitting around waiting for them. All right, so I did a little deduction and reverse, I'm assuming, is going to be transmission and the speed sensors transmission. So I ran that from what was just kind of in the engine bay and moved it back. And those make sense to me, that this is going to be your speedometer and this is going to be your reverse, and then the unknown cable connected here. So I'm going to do some more research, but I think I got 3 done. All right. We're getting close to the first startup. And this is the next one. Next step I'm doing, I'm going to pump some fuel into the gas tank and check to see if the sending unit leaks. If that does not leak, then I will fire up the fuel pump on the Corvette and build some pressure and see if I have leaks then. I don't know why, but I'm nervous because things are going good. And it's like, at this point, there's no problem with the fuel. But the second I put fuel in it, if it leaks, then I have a problem. But either way, has to be done. So I'm going to hook up the battery to my little temporary pump and fill up some gas and look underneath. If I see some drips, I stop, drain the tank, fix whatever's wrong. Okay, so I ran into a little snafu with the fuel rail. So I was trying to put on a fuel pressure gauge, and it comes with this kit where it goes on the bleeder screw like that. This little piece comes on and then goes on to here, kind of like that. But the problem I had is the hood wouldn't close. I had it all set up and everything was good, but the hood wouldn't close. So I tried to just do this, which was too much for this to handle. And this little, it's the Schrader valve piece here, just basically was crooked. And I'm like, oh God, that's not good. So I apologized to Jeff and I said, okay, how about these fuel rails are like $190 new from GM. Now, yeah, you probably could get something cheaper from a salvage yard or something like that. But for $70, we could just get this billet aluminum fuel rail. So I'm putting that in today. And then I have one of those little adapters that comes on here for the crossover hose. And it's going to look better, but I apologize to Jeff to make things more difficult and spend more money. But so I'm going to, I took the fuel rail off, obviously. So I'm going to take off the injectors, put them on the new billet one, and get this installed. Full disclaimer here. I know this is dumb. I know you're going to say, why did he do that? But now I'm going to explain why. So I have the fuel rails installed. I had to modify some of the brackets. I haven't modified that one yet, but the brackets that came with the kit just have it too far away and the injectors look a little too crooked. So I made my own brackets, and I need to make ones for that side. You can see how close the connector is on this side, and then how far it is on that side. So it just kind of moves it 1/4 inch, maybe a little more. But I want to see if there's any leaks. I've been working on this for a while, far too long, probably. But anyway, so here's the stupid part. So originally we had the stock fuel rail, and I came over here so that I could connect to the stock fuel rail. This is basically my stupidity loop, but hear me out. I don't want to cut this until I am 100% sure that this setup is going to work. So I already had this over here, so that's why I'm connecting to this fuel rail, and then I have the fuel pressure regulator, fuel pressure gauge on this side instead of the front, because I'm having trouble with hood clearance, and there's plenty of hood clearance on that side. So I want to test the fuel pressure, make sure there's no leaks. So that means I don't want to cut this until I do that test. Then I will snip it down there. No, I don't know if you can see it. There. So I will snip it down there, and then put this connection on and go straight to this hose. That hose connects to there. Fuel comes around, and the fuel pressure regulator is on the driver's side. I like the driver's side because, if you're troubleshooting by yourself, you don't have to somehow start the car and look over. You could probably see the gauge, or maybe step out and turn the key while you're still out of the car and check the fuel pressure. So ultimately, that's where we want to go. But for now, the fuel system is connected. So next, I am going to take the battery, bring it to the back, and jump start the fuel pump, and then check for leaks. So there is a return over in the back. A Corvette, basically it's very similar to what I had on the Fury with the Holly Sniper, where the fuel pressure regulation happens near the tank and it returns it really quickly, but still makes 50-ish. That's what I had for the Sniper. I don't know what the LS is, 50 or 60 PSI. So I got the gauge so I can see if pressure dies off quickly. And that is the first step, I think, to starting this, because I really want to do that soon. So we're getting close to Christmas. It would be nice to hear this engine start up as a Christmas celebration. Okay, it is now time to see if we have any fuel leaks. I should be able to connect the power just directly to the fuel pump. Fuel comes in, hits the regulator, and we'll come back to the tank. I'm pretty sure I'm going to see some leaks here because I believe this is 5/16, and I have a 3/8 line on it, I realized. So if that's my only problem, I'm going to call that a win. And then we're going to check and see how much fuel pressure we have at the new gauge we put in. I'm also going to check. Okay. Okay, don't see anything flowing yet. All right, I'm going to readjust the cameras, bring the vehicle down so that I can see the gauge in the engine bay. But the fact that it didn't flow a lot right off the bat, and the pump worked and seemed like it was doing something, that's calling that a plus. Okay, so I'm not getting fuel pressure up front. So I'm thinking maybe the fuel pressure regulator is a problem. Maybe I should disconnect that and just get the pump to flow. I don't know if I can find a way to do that. Give it a shot. All right, so I have this disconnected. So this is in the far end of the regulator, and I hook it up. It's like it's got too much pressure, or there's a problem with the pump. Either way, I need to work my way back. Okay, so it's kind of feeling like an idiot there, like something I did was clogging it. There's something I did wrong with the quick connect fitting or something like that. But I narrowed it down, worked my way back, and I don't know, you can't see through that, I'm sure. Maybe. I don't know which lens to look at. But this manufactured part does not have a hole. It has aluminum in there. So in the manufacturing process, they forgot to make a hole. Well, they made a hole, but not a through hole. So I'm going to replace this and put it on and see how we do. All right, so it's been a couple of days. I have a new replacement fuel pump, and let's put this in and see what happens. Okay, so everything is back in. Got my ground. And I verified I am getting fuel out of the pressure regulator, so let's see what we got. All right, that sounds good. And I can hear fuel pouring out front. Moving on to the next problem. All right. So line comes in. I don't see any leaking there. I don't see any leaking. Excuse me. I do have a cold on that side, but this side is leaking like a sieve. And I'm going to guess it's because of those brackets. So you can see here I made these brackets that kind of pull it straighter than these brackets. So I have no pressure. So I need to take this fuel rail off and figure out what's going on. All right, this is what I'm talking about. So I got what, 50, 60 PSI? No, 50 PSI. So I think that's good. Ignore this leakage. When I first tried it, I didn't have this on, so it flew all over everywhere. So I'll check this again tomorrow, but it seems to be holding okay. It's not, if it had a leak, I think it would be dropping pressure pretty quickly. So for tonight, I'm gonna call this a win. And I'll try it again tomorrow after all the gasoline has dried up. And but I think we have enough fuel pressure to hear this engine start and see if we ever get any other leaks. So then after this, I want to check the starter. So I think I'm going to use like a trigger mechanism, you know, the engine bay triggers, and make sure the starter engages properly, turns over, and releases. So just another test I want to do. So moving on. Okay, so I've been doing some wiring. I followed the instructions from the wiring harness, set that to positive 12 volts. And then this is my ignition switch. So I just have, this is the ignition from the wiring harness, and then this is one that I have run from the positive side. So when I start that, I can see everything kind of goes like I'm turning the switch, and I got good fuel pressure. So that all looks good. I even checked the codes, and I do have an issue with a map sensor, but I knew about that. I have to wire in a different connector to go with an LS2 style. But, you know, that's all good. That's all expected. And then the throttle position sensor, which it's right here. So those two being the only two that aren't connected is a good thing. And then my plan for just hearing it start is a trigger starter that goes from the battery to the starter solenoid. And so if I press it, so that is the first time this thing is cranked over. And am I losing any oil? No. I don't have a dipstick in, so that's something we have to do tomorrow. But that's the first time this thing has turned over in probably 8, possibly more years, at least 8 years. So these are all good signs. Got some wiring to do, got a throttle pedal and a dipstick, and I think we might be able to start this thing. All right, it is the next day, and we're going to see if this thing will start. Jeff and Deborah are coming over today to hear it hopefully start, and I think it'll make sparkles. He's bringing over a throttle pedal, and I need to wire the map sensor because it is a LS2 style. Here, let me switch the camera. Tried to do a Kevin thing there. So the connector on the harness is an LS3 style. So the LS2 map sensor has a smaller diameter port that goes onto the manifold. So I have a harness pigtail, and I'm going to swap that out. Everything I've looked, the color wires match, so it's just a matter of splicing and soldering so that and I can verify with OBD2. So we have a dipstick to put in down there, and maybe add another quart of oil. I only put 5 in. I believe it takes 6, but I wanted to make sure that it was correct for this, because I know they changed the pan for this to give it a little lower profile, so I didn't want to put too much oil in. Of course, you know, we don't have a radiator. We won't be able to run it long. And I don't even have the serpentine belt system put on. The only thing that would even work, because the alternator's not wired up yet, would be the power steering pump. And I spun it with the drill, and it really didn't feel like it was putting out any pressure or any fluid movement. So I may have to take that apart again. Anywho, today is about first fire. So I did put some oil in each one of the cylinders. I'm assuming some residuals are still going to be there. So, yeah. Fingers crossed we get a win today. I really could use one. And knowing that it runs and it drives, then, you know, that's phase 1. Phase 1 is just getting it fired up and running. Phase 2 would be running, or 1.5 maybe, having it run with cooling and everything so that it can get up to temperature. Then step 2 is to get it to run and drive under its own power. I did a lot of work on the brakes. I think those will work. We just need to bleed them. And Transmission, I think it just needs fluid, and we have to hook up the clutch. So we do have something there that's, and then we have a Be-Cool radiator with an electric fan set up. We got the wires for that. So, and then a air filter system so that we can, something a little more. I need to get the serpentine belt on to see where everything's going to sit, and then see if we have to do any modifications to get it to the air filter to kind of go over there straight, because there isn't a lot of hood clearance, so gotta be accurate there. And then redo the fuel systems, fuel lines. I didn't want to cut the line down here until, I mean, ultimately I think what I'm going to do is cut the line down here, put one of the AN fittings, run it to here, run over here, and put the fuel pressure gauge on that side. That to me makes more sense, but the way it is right now should work for a fire up test. Make sure all the coils are working. I mean, before I start putting in all the guts in its final, hopefully, home, running the fuse boxes through the firewall, all the relays, all that stuff, I just want to make sure this is going to work. Everything on this so far has been a surprise. And so, yeah, let's get to it. All right. So, everything's in. Let's open up some doors. I did put some fluid in each cylinder before I put the spark plugs in. So there's a good chance for some major smoke.
Oh, yeah.
For the initial couple minutes.
But that's all right.
That's normal. And plus, this engine probably hasn't started in 9 years.
Yeah.
I did scope each cylinder, so
No rust?
no rust. Everything looks good. That's the beauty of Arizona.
Yeah.
All right. So you want to?
No, go ahead.
All right. So this is ignition on. Fuel pressure. Okay. Any leaks? Do you see anything?
Fuel pressure still at 50.
Yep.
Which is good.
Yep.
I don't hear anything.
Okay. Yeah. I don't know if it needs to kind of get its bearings. It should be on a kind of default map, right? For the first, until everything gets up to operating temperature.